Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and I've got my son Jayson and my good buddy Connor, and tonight we're going to tell you how we felt about Backrooms. So this is a movie that I didn't even know was a thing until like a week ago when Jayson was like, okay, Dad, there's this horror movie coming out that I really want to see. This is the first I heard about it. And then, like, now it's everywhere. Like, I can't stop hearing about this thing. It's like, as soon as Jayson shows interest in a thing, it gets popular. And so this movie's coming out, and he's like, Dad, you're not going to care about this. I was wondering if at 16 I'm allowed to go to rated R movies in the theater. And I was like, no, they won't let you in. And he was like, I don't think you're going to want to go. And I was like, well, I'll look into it. And then I looked at the trailer, and I came back to Jayson, Connor, and I said, well, all the two words you had to say were "chew it till edge it for." That's all you had to say. Because, like, I love that guy. I'll go to anything just based on that. So we were like, yeah, we're gonna go to Backrooms at some point. Originally, the plan today was to review the Mandalorian movie. Not that I'm super excited about that or anything, but just as kind of obligatory. Like, I've reviewed all the Star Wars movies as they've come out, even though we haven't had one in like 7 years. It's like, probably somebody cares about us weighing in on that. And then things kind of fell into place such that it just made more sense to do this first. So we're gonna do a double feature. Like, Freddie really wants to see Mandalorian, and I wasn't gonna be able to take him this afternoon. So anyway, we're gonna try to do a double feature next week with that and He-Man on Monday. So tonight we're just doing Backrooms. We're gonna do a double feature on two movies that probably more of our viewership will care that we talk about, but we're gonna give a whole show, a whole hour and a half, 2 hours, just to Backrooms. So for everybody that's like Jayson and cared about this in the first place, you're welcome. Jayson, tell us a little bit about Backrooms, because you actually know the initial material with this.
A little bit. So I'm very casual when it comes to this material. I know I love the concept, and I never got really super deep into the lore and the theories like I have with other things. But I mean, I've seen a little bit of Kane Parsons' show when that was coming out, and I knew about the original, myth when it first started getting popular. And so when this came out, I was like, that sounds like it would not be great. But then I saw the trailer, and I'm like, okay, well, it's Kane Parsons making it, and it actually looks like it could be enjoyable. So,
and they built sets.
Yeah.
So that looked kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's chew it till edge it for. How can you go wrong?
And
we've got Connor tonight direct from the Backrooms.
Yeah. He's got, like...
One of my lights just went like that. Ooh.
It's so spooky.
It's just like the Backrooms.
Connor, they don't do that in real life.
Well, oh.
Only in the Backrooms.
You guys hear that? I think I heard something. By the way, I have a fan going. Can you guys hear that?
No,
I should go turn that off.
No, you're good.
So basically,
okay.
If you're not familiar with...
Real quick, Connor just moved in a new house.
Yeah.
And I'm really concerned that he found the Backrooms in his house.
Yeah, the entire upstairs has like this yellowish tint to the walls. And I came home yesterday, and this is going to be my office. But like all of the boxes were stuck to the side, and I'm like, wait a minute. We painted the downstairs, and it looks pretty good. It still looks like an old person's house up here, though. But it's old, maybe eternal. I don't know.
It just keeps
maybe it goes on forever. Yeah, we'll see.
You're gonna tape newspapers to the windows.
Yeah, maybe. I'll see if there's any hiding around here.
Just don't go open a furniture store.
I've been to a lot of furniture stores lately, so I'll try not to buy one.
So, if anybody...
I'll try not to walk in with cash and say, I'd like to buy your furniture store.
So if you're unfamiliar with kind of the history of the Backrooms, it started as a 4chan thread where somebody basically posted this picture of this unfinished furniture store That's why it's a furniture store in this movie.
Oh, okay.
And so, and then it was basically like, if you, clip into the floor, then at the right point that you might get stuck in the back rooms, and it's like this, never-ending place that keeps on going. And I always thought that was a fun concept. And then this guy came.
And was it always sort of supposed to be like in like another dimension or something? Was
Yeah,
it just
kind
so unexplained you have no idea what it is? Like,
Yeah.
Are you phased? Are we taking up the
Yeah,
same?
it's supposed to be like phased, but it's like
Yeah.
nobody really knows.
We're like you're occupying. It's actually occupying the same spaces where you just were, but it's all like a perverse version of what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be just like video games. You just glitch into a wall and you get, and then weird things happen, And then so there's this guy Kane Parsons who was my age when he made the original short film,
And is only 4 years older than Jayson is now.
Yeah, and
Is now, as I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard, the youngest director to hit #1 opening weekend at the box office.
Yeah.
So this is like a major history-making movie.
Yeah, and so that short film turned into an entire series with millions of views, and and then he made a movie of it. So, but it's actually very different compared to what he was doing with the the YouTube stuff.
Okay.
There's no black squiggly guy, so I don't know about that. But
You seemed very disappointed about the lack of the black squiggly guy.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed in that.
Connor, this is the world we live in now, where YouTube stars are taking over the movie theater.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of been the narrative over the last few weeks at the box office. I don't know how familiar you are with the other big horror movie kind of taking up screens is Obsession.
Obsession, which I've not seen it and know nothing about. I haven't seen a trailer. I don't know anything about that movie.
I only saw the teaser trailer like kind of last fall into the winter time, but that's by Curry Barker, who's 26. It's actually not his first feature. He made like an $800 feature a few years back that I heard some people talking about. But and now with this, I remember when A24 announced it, I was a little surprised because I didn't know what it was at the time, and I'm glad we have Jayson here as our Gen Z correspondent to really keep us plugged in, because I wanted to kind of be here because I think this would be a very interesting discussion for Kat, because I think like Jayson's kind of plugged into the more online side of this that I was completely ignorant to.
Yeah.
But I think I'm more plugged into like the international filmmaking thing that's going on right now that I don't think you guys are as like clued into. Like, do you guys even know who Renata Reinsva is, the woman who plays the therapist?
No.
Yeah, so like we started getting big probably around the same time that Backrooms became like a thing on the internet. Like, it's like, so to me, like this movie becoming such a huge hit feels like the things for like the first half of the 2020s that have sort of been like new and cool and under the surface are now like fusing, and they just opened to like $81 million, like, which is almost the same that that Mandalorian opened up to. Like, it's kind of crazy like how huge of a hit this thing is.
And Mandalorian is poised to have a giant drop off, and this probably won't. And this has already made its money back like 19 times, because I think they made this on $10 million or something.
Wow.
Yes. And the thing about Obsession is that like that was made for less than $1 million. Focus Features acquired it for $15 million out of the festival, and then its opening weekend it made $17 million, and that has done something unheard of, which it just keeps adding. It doesn't have any drop offs week to week. It's adding business week to week.
That's
so
crazy.
Both of these, like, it's really cool. I have not seen Obsession. I'm not very familiar with Curry Barker, but at least in terms of just seeing the new wave of like, there's for like the last 15 years, there is this idea of like, what do young audiences want? And we keep seeing kind of these more corporate things. And then when people don't show up, they go, kids just don't want to watch movies anymore. But I don't know about you guys, but there was a ton of teenagers and like young people, like more young people I've seen in a theater that were like whispering and like they weren't just like whispering because they were bored and wanting to be funny. They were like highly invested in what we were looking at, and
That's really cool. We went
it
to
was
a matinee
really cool.
today in the middle of the day, and there were like 5 other people in the theater, so we didn't get that experience.
Okay.
But
I did something I never do, which is I went to a Saturday night like primetime screening, and I was like,
cool.
this is gonna make me want to shoot my head off. But then I was like, oh, I want to be here. This is cool. So, yeah.
You did not have a Minecraft experience. Well, I think people assume that this new generation, if they go to the theater, it's gonna be like Minecraft, and I'm like, well, that's not a pattern yet. Like, that was that movie, and if the right things come along, maybe we're selling some of these kids short, and we can actually get them to go and sit and pay attention if they're really invested in a story, and like teach kids how to see movies again. Like, is the issue that kids just don't care about movies, or are we, as you're suggesting, Connor, just not giving them anything that really appeals to them because everything is so roten by the numbers and corporate and the kinds of stuff that we grew up on, but that maybe they're already tired of because they were raised on it, or maybe for other reasons it just doesn't appeal to them. And then there's also this idea that because of like TikTok culture and scrolling feeds where you're just looking at like 10 to 30-second clips all the time, that generation is not going to sit for an hour and a half. And I'd love to think that with stuff like this, that's not true.
Yeah, no, like this is like more patient and meditative and slower than like you would expect something that younger audiences are going out to see. But I think like they like the online videos, they like the concept of the Backrooms, and I think like this whole liminal horror kind of concept that is more dreamlike and surreal and slow, like that's the appeal of it. And you just find a way for that to appeal to, that's going to appeal to different kinds of generations in different ways. And so that's kind of neat where like, I mean, of course it's me, I'm going to invoke him, but like David Lynch died last year.
Yeah.
And this isn't like super Lynchian, but like I can see how David Lynch's influences wheeze their way into this. And it's just sort of interesting how like for as long as I've been alive, no one knows how to describe his style. It's kind of dreamlike, it's kind of surreal, but melodramatic. It's Lynchian, but I feel like in 20 years, the way it's going to be written about is like we've now found like a label for that, like a defined cultural label of like, oh, it's liminal. It's like liminal cinema. And like in 20 years, we'll say David Lynch was sort of like an early voice in liminal cinema. And like now we have like Kane Parsons. I don't know if that guy is, I've heard him say he's not really a cinephile. He just likes this thing. And like, that's cool to me. Like he's not like super into like the history and dialogue with this director or that. He just wants to make stuff. And that's what I liked so much about David Lynch, is he never really talked about what inspired him all that much. And so I don't know, it's cool.
Well, and what I like about the Backrooms as an original concept, and for putting it into a movie, a theatrical experience, is it doesn't feel super memey. It doesn't feel like an internet thing. It's just, that originated as kind of a myth, just like any campfire story. You just get transported to this, weird place, and that's all it is. It would just
feel like high concept horror to me if I went and saw it and wasn't aware of that. Yeah. It wasn't screaming like this was a 2-minute, and I know you made a bunch of little films, but like it doesn't scream this was a like 3-minute short film and he's trying to figure out how to stretch it. No. Like it just feels like however you feel about the pacing and the actual story that's told, and of course we'll talk about that after Sign Flips, but it felt like I could see a lot of the influences with it, or potential influences, with things like, because a lot of things he mentioned were like video games and animes and things. But I mean, like in the DNA of it is, obviously found footage stuff. Yep. He's going back to the 90s, so you can't help but think about Blair Witch and stuff like that. Yep. But it's not full on a found footage movie, and it could have been.
Yeah, well, and all of the original series was found footage.
Yeah.
But I will say, and we can kind of start reviewing this movie, but what I did like about it was it didn't lose the found footage stuff completely. So that didn't like fully surprise me, but I was glad.
We'll have to talk about that and see how each of us feels about that, and whether or not we would have liked it to have gone full tilt with that or not have it at all.
Yeah.
But Connor, thanks for all that background about what's going on with that stuff right now, because I have been real out of the loop just with cinema in general, kind of since COVID, where like I just go to the big things that I'm kind of expected to review here, and I'm sad to say, like, I had over the last few years kind of just lost interest in new stuff, in just the theatrical experience, in the same way that I had kind of lost interest in comics. And there's some stuff happening, because I'm actually excited about a few movies this year, and it's the first year I've been able to say that since probably like, I don't know, 2021. I forget, but it's been a while since there were multiple movies where I was like, ooh, I've got to see that. Like, yeah. I forget the name of it, but that movie where like a whole like neighborhood gets transported to like dinosaur, like prehistory, like dinosaur times.
The End of Oak Street.
Like, I gotta see that. That looks great.
Yeah, that is interesting, because that's a movie by a director who's sort of been in director's jail for almost 10 years. Like, he made the movie It Follows, which was like a cool horror movie. And then his follow-up was called Under the Silver Lake, and that was like crazy. Like, it was an A24 movie that was supposed to go to theaters, and then like a month before it was supposed to hit theaters, they just dropped it. And they just like dropped it like on video or something. Like, it didn't go to theaters. I mean, if it did, it was barely any. And that had Andrew Garfield and like Riley Keough and like decent like actors at the time, and people like it, but it's also like no one saw it, and then he's just been gone for so long.
Well, it's crazy to think It Follows was 10 years ago.
It's over 10 years ago. It's
good Lord,
crazy. But no, him coming back with like Bad Robot production, like, that's, I mean, say what you will about Bad Robot, but they have money to put behind stuff. At least they did. But it looks like that has like a budget.
Dan
and, like, stars
says that Austin and I reviewed Under the Silver Lake. I don't even remember this. What happens in that movie?
Well, you both quite liked it, apparently.
Apparently we did. So. Look, I do a lot of stuff on request. I'm not immediately remembering this, but apparently I liked that movie. Good Lord, Connor. I can't remember anything.
Well, how did you feel about Backrooms?
I thought you said Bathrooms.
Oh, honestly, I said that when I went up to buy when I bought a ticket.
I need one ticket for Bathrooms.
they're right over there.
My friends were like saying something, and I was like, hey, can I get one ticket for the Bathrooms? Oh, yeah, it was embarrassing.
Okay, so is this movie Backrooms or The Backrooms?
It's Backrooms.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Backrooms.
Because I thought I saw a poster somewhere that had "the" on it, but maybe it was for a different movie that was called The Backrooms.
I don't know, maybe.
I don't know.
It's
like
just
from some other time period. But yeah, real quick before we do sign flips, Connor, I just want to say I feel like something that you and I were predicting several years ago is finally kind of coming to fruition, which is some of the, and especially the smaller studios like an A24, are realizing that the way in this day and age when we're so splintered to actually make money with movies is to just not throw $6 billion at every movie. And I'm wondering how long it's going to take. And obviously that's been the strategy for especially like these smaller horror houses. But like, I'm wondering how long it's going to take, especially as we're putting like new blood on the map with it like this, with these younger guys, how long it's going to take for, or if it will happen at all, for the bigger studios to get wise and start doing more of the Joker and the Clayface thing. Not that they all have to be horror films, but I just mean with big properties that have the backing of a major parent company like that, your Warners, your Disney, etc. Will we start getting wise and you can actually make we won't do this, but something like a, $20 or $50 million Batman movie instead of a $200, $300, $500 million Batman movie?
I mean, it's a good question. I don't know when that'll happen or if it's going to happen exactly the same way, obviously, but this is reminiscent of, like, I don't know, especially because horror is so cheap, and like, we now know people are going to show up for horror, and they always have, but like, in a way this year that last year and this year, in the way they, it's becoming so much more mainstream and profitable, I guess, in a way it maybe hadn't been seen as before. But and maybe it's because there's not as much other things making so much profit as well. But it's a little reminiscent of like Easy Rider in like the late '60s, which and then that spawned an entire genre of just dudes on motorcycles because it was cheap.
Yeah.
Or like American Graffiti, guys. Before Star Wars spawned a billion ripoffs, George Lucas's previous movie, American Graffiti, spawned a million ripoffs, and it was like a 4-year span where there was American Graffiti ripoff after American Graffiti ripoff, because you could cast a bunch of teenagers no one had heard of, and just have them hang out and talk and tell jokes.
It doesn't cost
That's all you had to do, and it doesn't cost much, exactly. And so these were very profitable, and so I'm interested to see how like if these people stick with horror, because George Lucas didn't stay with comedy and teenagers. He went off and did fantasy and like big budget stuff, and Coppola did The Godfather and big budget stuff, and Spielberg turned Hollywood into his personal playground. So I'm curious to see which filmmakers or who's going to kind of take over from this current crop of up and comers.
Well, and I'm hoping that the lesson that's learned from this isn't just like the superhero craze thing with horror, which obviously, like you said, horror has always sold well, but it's just okay. The ticket is cheap horror films. I want chances to be taken with small budgets on other genres that we haven't seen on the big screen that much in a long time. I want to see like farce and romance and stuff come back. Like after Naked Gun didn't do what I was hoping it would do. I was like, okay, maybe this isn't gonna herald like the big coming of comedy again, but like I want to see stuff like that happen, and it'd be nice if this happening with smaller movies like this, it wasn't just about the genre. But then the problem is, when I say the right lessons, we can't be sure that the right movie will come along that will get that will like break any opening weekend records like this is. And stuff like that for other genres. Like there's no telling if the audience is there for other stuff right now. In the theater.
Well, someone's got to be the first penguin in the water, right? So maybe it'll be a thing where there's, instead of it, when you say, oh, a YouTuber's going to be in a movie, it was like Jake Paul or something, and it's like, oh, we know what that's going to be like. But I don't know, maybe someone out there is just really funny. And instead of getting Liam Neeson to headline your farce, you hire that one guy on YouTube who's actually really funny. And then from there, that's how you get your new Zaz kind of comedies, or whatever this, generation's iteration of that is.
Yeah, like I'm totally cool with the new crop of talent coming from YouTube as long as the movies aren't just YouTube videos. You know what I mean? Like this kind of thing makes me happy, because it didn't feel like a YouTube video on screen. It is a movie.
Exactly. And I don't, little backdoor into talking about them. Okay. I didn't mean for that.
You're good. I want to see if we get a full half an hour preamble before we finally do side flips. Who wants to go first?
Are we doing any sort of a synopsis?
Do a quick one.
Okay.
I mean, you told us like the background.
Yeah, I did.
What happens in Backrooms?
Well, there's this guy.
Yeah.
Who owns a
His name is
store.
Clark.
Yeah,
and
Clark.
so the whole movie, every time somebody said Clark, I had to be really careful not to yell Clark at the screen, because I felt like I was in a Crypto Freak stream.
Clark.
Clark. Anyway. I want to watch this movie with John so bad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, there's this guy played by that actor Deadlegs that I can't pronounce his name.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yep.
He is wonderful, and he hasn't aged since Serenity 20 years ago.
He plays Clark, and he owns a furniture store that apparently gets no sales at all.
I don't think anyone has ever bought a piece of furniture at the store.
And he's like a drunk, and he his wife left him, and he
because it's the start of a horror movie.
Yep, his lights are flickering, and he doesn't know what's going on, and he finds a secret passage through his wall in the basement of his furniture store, and it leads to the Backrooms, which is this space that is never ending, and I don't know how to describe it. It's just really weird. And we
It's got a lot of impossible architecture and
Yeah.
stuff stuck in places it doesn't belong.
Yeah.
And mostly things from that furniture store until you get further into it.
Yeah. Oh, also, there's also a therapist.
Yes.
Who is kind of the main character.
Because the movie switches protagonists halfway through.
Right. And she has a backstory involving her mom, and that's about all I know about
And her house that got demolished.
Yeah, that's about all I know about her.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about all I know about her. So, and she's a therapist. I mentioned that.
She's his therapist.
She's his therapist.
And then she goes in and checks that out also.
Yep.
And then scary things happen.
Yep. Pretty much. Okay, who's gonna time flip?
I'll go first.
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna do a real quick one, and then we can talk some more. I say real quick. You guys know me, but I think this will be somewhat quick. Man, I have not thought best thing, worst thing out real hard with this. Best thing has got to be just visuals and atmosphere, and just the fact that they actually built all of this, because you can tell. And I think overall, I'm really happy that the whole thing wasn't found footage, just because we got to see it better. You know, like if it had just been like the '90s handy cam the whole movie, like that could have been cool and again real atmospheric. But I got to see what they really built. Apparently, they built this on like 3 or 4 sound stages, and apparently people got lost.
Yeah, people were getting lost. Yeah, it's great.
Like they could not make their way through it. It's fantastic. So yeah, I think best thing is just the ride through it, and I think worst thing is the story for me doesn't match up to the ride. Like there's a part of me that almost wishes it wasn't even really trying to tell much of a character-driven narrative, because I don't think, because I think the writing side of this is a little weak. And I kept thinking of really cool character things that we could be doing with our protagonists. Both of them, but especially Edgetfer. And I didn't find either of those characters as anything like as compelling as the portrayals of them. It's like the actors playing them. And so I thought there was a potential really good story here. I will say I liked how ambiguous it was about the lore and everything, because I thought it might try to get too explainy, and I appreciated that it was kind of X-Filesy about all of that. That because it kind of keeps you guessing, and like I think it gave you enough where you can have some theories about it. When we get into spoilers, I've got questions. Like there's some stuff where I'm pretty sure they've not thought it through at all. But I don't know, like 95% of it points me in one particular direction, which is kind of fun. But like I don't know, I'll talk out of both sides of my face, because on the one hand, I kind of thought it would just be a ride, and I wasn't expecting any attempt at exploring themes. Like there's a couple of cool ideas that are here, but they're a little half-baked when it comes to the character side. And so I was then disappointed that it didn't explore that stuff more, if it was going to be there at all. But I will flip green as much just for the production of it, if nothing else.
Yeah. So I agree with you that like the lore isn't explained that much, and that's good. People still thought they showed too much.
Oh.
Because the Backrooms was always, it's a monster where you don't like the monsters that come to get you. You don't see them that much, and it's the like suspense of you only see things for like a frame. Like a little bit of a second, and you never see their faces and
stuff. Do you think they should have done it that way?
And I like what they did.
Yeah.
I thought it was really creepy. I liked it, but I get where people are coming from. But
Connor, why don't you give us a sign flip?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with my worst thing first. And I'm going to throw out a theory. So if you're A24 and you're like, we make movies that get nominated for awards and very rarely turn a profit, but when they do, it's everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah.
There was a few years ago, I think it was around the time that movie Civil War was coming out. I remember the CEO or somebody of A24 had come out and they were like, we need to start expanding. We need to start making bigger movies. We need to start making movies that appeal to mass audiences. We're trying not to like sacrifice our brand or anything, but like in order to survive, this is what we have to do. And so like Civil War was sort of like their first movie in that direction. And I mean, we have seen like their brand grow, and but if you're looking at it from that perspective, you can look at them kind of looking around and go, okay, what do we got? Like, what is like an IP, but in their kind of more artistically credible way? They get this Backrooms thing, and they're like, basically, what if we kind of did like the Slender Man movie, but not the way Sony did it? And we're gonna get the kind of the kid who, you know, he didn't create it, but he is sort of like more or less the authority and most experienced person who has handled Backrooms in some kind of cinematic way. The thing is, when you're hiring him, he's probably 19, and you go, we're going to spend a lot of money on this. What if the kid's vision doesn't come together?
Yeah.
We're going to bring in a screenwriter, and if his vision don't come together, then we need to have a script that can very directly communicate what is happening in this movie. Mm-hmm. And so I understand, that's my theory, because my least favorite thing about this is the back half and like the scripting in the back half.
Yep.
Because I think what ended up happening is sort of the inverse problem where this Kane Parsons guy, he did a really good job directing this, I think.
Yeah.
So much so that like through so much of the second half where they are reincorporating motifs, they are, you know, expositing, and they're doing all this stuff. I was like, I don't need this. I got it. You know, you did a good enough job communicating your vision that a lot of this does feel a little tedious, and it just keeps going on. And I'm like, man, like, this is a little it's disappointing to me, because the best thing about this is, to me, a lot of the first half, where the concept of this is great. It's like there is something about wide open but enclosed spaces. It reminds me of a very early thing, or like, I don't know. I remember there was this video that you did with Eric where you guys were talking about Prometheus, and he had talked about how like his greatest fear was like being on a planet where it doesn't matter which direction you run in, there's no help. Like there's nothing. You know, like you can run 5 miles in that direction or that direction. You are just as far away from anyone helping you because there's no help coming. And I think this kind of speaks to a little bit of that primal fear, but there's no windows. There's all enclosed spaces. There's something kind of peaceful about it. And I think everybody has some kind of connection to this, whether it's like some place that you used to work at no longer exists anymore, or when you're moving out of the house you grew up in and now your room is empty, or like there's something there that is like this weird grief and sadness, but like but it's a play. Like, I don't know, there's a lot kind of emotionally just humming in the air. And there's just something about being in the back rooms and these like extended sequences of just wordless exploration that I was like just hooked on. Like I could have watched these people walk around these yellow rooms for a long time.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if it couldn't have just been that. Like, kind of.
Yeah. And then Plushy DX says they call it liminal space. Yes, I am aware. That's the term.
He brought that up earlier.
But
this is the first week I have ever heard that term.
I first heard it a couple months ago. So I don't know if this has been like a thing that has been in the parlance for some time, but I think culturally it is really kind of entering the nomenclature.
Which, I mean, I had never heard of creepypasta until Jayson said it.
Oh, yeah.
But like years ago,
But,
like Jason's known what that is forever, but I'd never heard of that.
Yeah, so I'd say best thing is like I think the direction is very strong, particularly the way the cinematography and production design kind of work in tandem to get a lot of great and creative use out of like the leading lines in the architecture.
Yeah.
It's also, I think, a little compelling that one of the first things we learn about this guy is that he is kind of a failed architect. So you kind of understand his fascination with like this place. That being said, where it ultimately ends up going, like a lot of the themes are pretty on the surface.
Yep.
And I think just the concept being wordlessly explored is a great fit for that. But then when you get to the ending, they are just explaining the ideas to me, and I'm like, I don't need this, guys. And I think as a result, like, Chiwetel Ejiofor's performance, I don't think is a really good fit for this kind of... I think the concept of going into a place that sort of, like, is an extrapolation of the internal is actually maybe a better suit for a more reserved, older performance that, like, Renata Reinsva is giving in this movie. Or like the lead, or like the conduit into the Backrooms, but they didn't do that, and so that's fine. I'm not saying you should have swapped them or anything. This is more of a performance style type thing. But anyways, I'm gonna say I'm feeling it. It's a little bit of an edge case. If I like on Letterboxd, this is like a consummate 3 stars out of 5 for me. I don't know if this is like a 5.5 or a 6 out of 10, but it's a 3 star, and I would say edge case, but I'm feeling it.
I buy that. Like if I was doing this on the old 0 to 4 scale, it's a solid 2.5. It's that kind of movie. Man, you said a bunch of stuff I want to talk about. I'll let Jayson sign flip here in a second. But I do want to say, you're right about the personality type that this movie wants to explore these spaces, and Ejiofor is right for that. They just didn't let him play that character. Like they cast the right guy for that. Like if you go back and watch the villain he plays in Serenity, he's really cold and very emotionless, and that's what you want here. And he always plays this level of intelligence that was not right for the character he's playing here. This is kind of a dumb guy if you think about all of the things he's done, but he's like, is he an architect or is he just trying to be an architect? Is he even cut out for that? Like, I don't know. And what I really wanted from that character was in like when you say it's like a cool thematic parallel, and like it's a cool idea, like the architect goes in and is fascinated by this space. I needed that to come out to the forefront. Like the fact that he's an architect felt almost like an afterthought. Like he ought to go in there and be like, I've been a failure factory for years. I couldn't make it as an architect. I opened this furniture store. Not one person in the history of the store has ever bought a piece of furniture, and I've discovered something that I want to try to understand. Like as an architect, how is this built? How does it even exist? And then through trying to discover that, he would learn, well, it can't have been built. It's impossible. And so like this guy should have been trying to like become a pioneer. Like this could be my ticket to fame and fortune. Like this is my legacy. This is the thing I could be known for. And instead he's just kind of wandering around like he's interested, but you'd think he'd develop some kind of a plan. These characters don't have enough of a like specific singular motivation for me, and I was frustrated because I could see what it should be, and they've got it built in. Like it's right there. Like on a writing level, you have all these cool pieces that never come together to build anything.
No, he ends up just being kind of obsessed with the place and can't leave, really. And but it. You can't really tell that. We'll talk about.
We'll talk about it. I mean, that's an idea that does work on paper, where like he comes to want to stay there and never leave. Mm-hmm. But I didn't feel like we explored him enough to really get why?
Yeah.
You can kind of piece it out, but
So
Yeah.
my sign flip. So I'm gonna do one of the classic. This movie made me feel.
do it.
So this movie made me feel like I was watching a movie that made complete sense, but on LSD, and I kept passing out every like 10 minutes. Cause it's I love it. Like, it's a really good movie. It just needed like 3 extra scenes at least,
Oh, you think so?
and then make some scenes not that long. I'll start with my worst thing.
So is it a pacing thing, or is it story stuff is missing?
It's both.
Okay.
So I agree with. So my worst thing. I agree with the story and writing points that both of you guys have. My worst thing, just overall, is pacing. Because here's the thing, they take so long with these horror shots, and it looks so cool, and it's like, oh boy, what's gonna happen? And then they just like cut to a scene that I think is supposed to take place like 2 months after or something, but I don't know. Nobody knows, and I have no clue what's happening.
And that might have been intentional, but I can't tell.
Yeah, and so it just felt like, from both a pacing and a story standpoint, because those things go hand in hand. You needed just a little bit more story-wise, and just a little bit less for the horror stuff. There's a part, and I'll explain what it is when we get into spoilers. They do the exact same scene like 3 times in this movie. No, actually, I'll just explain what it is.
Yeah.
Them going through the wall into the backrooms, it's the exact same scene every time, and it takes like 3 minutes to get it done with, and I don't need that every time.
And your characters don't have new revealing ways of responding to it, really.
It's
so
the exact same way of doing it. So
and when
stuff
she
like
goes
that.
and when she goes in after him,
Mm-hmm.
it's some of the same kind of discovery stuff
is.
that you've had already.
Yeah. So I don't know. Just I feel like you could cut a little bit of the exploration. I don't want to cut all of the exploration any of the exploration stuff, but some of it, because it does go on a little bit long. Because I think some story stuff that would make scenes later better, because some of the second half I actually preferred to the first half, that Connor was saying he did not like. That scene with Ejiofor, that we'll talk about, that's the scene. I loved that. That was the best part of the movie for me, but it just didn't make sense story-wise, because it blindsided me, because we hadn't gotten there. We just needed like one more scene to get us to that point.
I don't know that
I feel
it doesn't make sense. You can kind of piece out what's happening, but you're right. Like it does feel kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I just can't tell if that was intentional or not.
Yeah. Even if it was, I would have preferred it to
Like, does time move differently in the Backrooms, or is
Yeah.
he sort of experiencing time differently because there's no sense of perspective, and he's not looking at a clock, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, he could be in that place for like 8 hours and think he's there for a year potentially.
yeah. So
But I don't know if that's what's happening.
So I think really just if it had a better balance between the horror stuff and the story stuff, it would knock it up even more points. But the problem is it's just missing a couple things that make it a really good movie, you know, and make it not like I'm scratching my head. The best thing is the sets. I mean, I don't even like everything looks crazy. I don't know. Well, because with the original,
and just really imaginative, like it's refreshing.
yeah, with his original short film and his series, it was all done in 3D renders and stuff. And
Well, apparently they used that technology to build all of this in a computer, and then they figured out how to physically build it.
yeah, which is I don't know, it's awesome that I don't know, and we have like real backrooms now. Like, it's pretty funny. I don't know, but
Yeah, it's too bad they couldn't build it somewhere where they could keep it and then like sell
No.
tickets.
no, they're doing that.
Are
They've
they
got
really?
places? I think they've got 10 locations right now. They've got
Wow.
That's
they've
That's a
got
good idea.
they've got one in California. They've got one in London. They've got one
Perfect.
Chicago, maybe. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
You know what?
See,
This didn't even occur to me.
that's-
You're an escape room guy.
Yeah.
That's part of why you like
Yeah.
this property.
See, and that's what's interesting is I think earlier I said like IP, but like it's not. Like isn't the original Backrooms thing like it was an anonymous post on Reddit?
Yeah.
Like it
Fortnite,
doesn't really
yeah.
belong to anybody, and I think that like that's maybe why so many people like it is it isn't really owned by anybody. Like I'm sure like independent video games have been made. Like you're saying you can just like build Backrooms and sell tickets to it. Like
Yeah.
Well,
A24
Jason
can
was-
make it.
Jason was telling me earlier there are so many Roblox games based on this,
Okay.
and I got halfway through this and was like, "Oh, this whole concept is just a Roblox game."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and apparently, Freddie was telling me about this because he plays Roblox and I don't really. But he was telling me about this. Apparently, in some Roblox games, you can just like clip into the floor and then there just is the backrooms. But they aren't backrooms games, they're just random games.
That's crazy.
It's really funny.
That's fine.
There's a whole lore that's been built like into the internet.
Yeah.
Apparently more like for children than anything, which in a weird way is disturbing to me. Like
Yeah.
like it seems like a lot of kids now you look at their favorite things and it's like Five Nights at Freddy's and it's this kind of stuff and I'm like it's scary, but like there's not any blood or anything. Like you don't actually see anybody die or anything.
Yeah.
But they
Except
love
for this movie.
They love survival horror. Well, yeah, I'm sure you do in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie too. But
Oh, yeah.
but I'm just saying, like in the actual games, it's like it's horror, but it's not horror, but it is horror.
Yeah. Like, it's scary, but.
Yeah, I think like the fear that you kind of feel or that distress that you feel is kind of like there is something existentially like there's some existential scratch that's being itched
Yes.
when you just see this and it's like I don't know, they had something. There's something here. There's definitely something here.
Well, I think it speaks to some degree, because I like what you said earlier, Connor, about like the past and places that you can't like really visit anymore. This idea speaks a little bit to like the faultiness of memory, where like memory gets distorted. It's like it's nightmare imagery, it's dream energy, sorry, dream energy, dream imagery, but it's also like the way your memory like distorts and perverts things, and like I know that's not what is actually happening, but I think it speaks to that a little bit, and I think making it a
It's certainly a
piece,
component.
I think making it a period piece also is pretty deliberate with that. Like I like that we made this a time period before any of like these ideas existed in like with the internet and the culture and stuff. It's also kind of fun that this 20-year-old guy made a movie set in a time 15 years before he was born.
Yeah. Well, but that I think that there is something culturally there too, because like when I was born in like the mid 90s, there was absolutely like a resurgence of 60s nostalgia. And it was like so like in my youth, I remember a bunch of like novelty diners and like hot rod cars and like that whole thing. And then like I kind of as I was like a child, I saw like the last little gust of like that kind of nostalgia and then it was gone.
Yeah.
Like it's not real. It's kind of a thing a little bit where you sort of see like, mod fashion sort of getting reincorporated here and there, but like the nostalgia isn't there. It's just an affection for the aesthetic. And like with this, like this does feel like the last little sands of time of like the 90s and like that kind of specific feel is like it does feel like it's going away and like there is like a last little holding on effect from it.
Well, there's something. And also in the '90s, you had a lot of bands trying to sound like either the Beatles or the Monkees.
Hmm.
Like, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. But this concept, uh, like, is very analog. Like, it wants to be on a VHS tape, and so it's interesting that that's how it started
Yeah.
online, where they're trying to make it look like the concept is kind of period in the first place if it starts with somebody took an analog camcorder, like took a VHS camcorder,
Yeah.
and went and shot it, and so it's reminding me of things like The Ring that are like throwback to
Well,
VHS.
One analog horror.
We
is
still
just-
had VHS when The Ring came out, but like it was coming out.
Analog
leaving.
horror is some of the best stuff on the internet right now. Like, because it actually feels like mature, and like, even though it's made on a literally $0 budget, like anybody can make it, but the people who make the really good ones, they're really good. And so I don't know. It comes from a place of like, I feel like the good side of internet, where we get something good from the internet into the theater, so I'm gonna flip green, if you couldn't tell already, but real quick, I just also want to say it's just really well directed, and I just like all of the just weird imagery. It reminded me a little bit of Pink Floyd's The Wall movie, just with all the weird, like, on drugs, like, imagery and stuff. I don't know. I really like that kind of stuff,
It's
where it just
real
makes no
surreal,
sense.
but it's important to note that it's not just the Backrooms that have that quality. Like, it's like the Matrix, and I'll invoke that again later, in that the actual world you're in before you go into the Backrooms also doesn't feel right.
Right.
Like, there's something off about the whole thing.
Yeah, you were talking about how like there's like this kind of memory quality, and that's what I like is how like, and this is me just sort of interpreting what I'm looking at. I don't know like if this is a lore, if there's like a lore explanation, and quite frankly, I don't care if there is. Like as a piece of art, the movie has to stand on its own.
Yeah.
But I do like how like when you enter it, like a part of your psyche and like your memory gets assimilated into it, and like that's kind of what the literal final shots is what I took from it. But like there is like that part where when Renata Reins was there, he has like a flashback to like her childhood home, and then there is like this really cool, like this had to have been like made on like a big like rotating set where you are seeing like the same room but it's degrading and turning into a backrooms thing. And I'm like, that's really cool. But it also reminds me of like, I don't know if you guys have this in your dreams, but architecture does not make sense in my dreams.
Right.
And it's always like splicing things together where I'm like, yeah, it's my high school cafeteria, but like it's also my stepmom's house. It's like those things at the same time. And like, that's this,
The last episode of Buffy season 4, which is one of the only, maybe the only one that doesn't cliffhanger into another season that's just standalone, does a dreamscape thing, Connor, where they built two sets connected that are two completely different places where characters crawl from one space into the next space to invoke exactly what you're talking about.
Nice. That's
Pretty
cool. I gotta finally watch Buffy.
There's a lot of neat stuff
That's
in it.
it's a major blind spot for me. I did because I brought him up. If you like Chiwetel Ejiofor, he was in a movie that came out last year. It was played festivals, but he's the main character for the first third of this movie, The Life of Chuck, and he's very good.
Yeah,
It's
Robert
similar
sent
to
me a
this, like a
message
very
about that.
emotional performance.
Robert's been trying to
but-
get me to watch that movie for like a year, and I just keep forgetting about it. But as soon as I brought up Edget for the other day, he sent me a message. He's like, "Don't forget to watch Life of Chuck, okay? He's in that."
I love this movie. It was my favorite movie of last year. And also, Renata Reinsva is actually like an Oscar-nominated actress. Like this last year, it was in Sentimental Value with Stellan Skarsgård and Elle Fanning, and they were all nominated. And this is a this director's follow-up was this is following up his film The Worst Person in the World, which was, I think, 2021, and that was like her big breakthrough. And I still have not seen that movie, but that was sort of like where a lot of people know her from. And I was telling you, I don't know if you remember this, when I was at your house last, Cap.
Yeah.
I was telling you about that Sebastian Stan movie where he's like disfigured, and then like he has like this like surgery where he looks like Sebastian Stan.
Yeah, I remember
and
you
then,
told me
like,
about that. That sounded really interesting.
Renata Reinsve plays his neighbor. And so
Okay.
he has a crush on her, but he's too scared to talk to her. And then she's a writer and an actress at the play. And then he disappears one day, and then he's like trying to find her and like hook up with her. And then he finds out that she's making a play about this old neighbor she used to have. And then he gets cast playing himself, but she doesn't know that it's him. And then an actual guy with that deformity, who's an actor with that deformity, shows up and then takes the role away from him. And now he's jealous of the guy who looks just like he did. Like, it's a very interesting.
Yeah, I remember you saying
That's
that.
really weird. That's really interesting. I gotta watch this movie.
Yeah, I want to watch it again because I got a little disappointed that it became like a nightmare comedy at the end. I was like, oh, it's kind of like a SpongeBob gag for the last 30 minutes. Oh, okay. But like the psychology it's speaking to is pretty interesting. And there's a handful of very great scenes. It's called A Different Man. So anyways, there's my dump of like art house and foreign films onto you guys. So.
Well, clearly there's a lot of good stuff that's actually going on right now that has just flown under my radar because I've not paid enough attention. I just need to roll back and try some things and find time to watch anything. Yeah.
Those two actors, Renata Reinsve and Sebastian Stan, they were in a movie. They're in another movie together. I guess they like working together, called Fjord, and it just won the Palme d'Or at Cannes like a couple weeks ago, which is their top prize. So it's probably going to be like a big awards contender at the end of the year. So look out for that one. The Norwegians are coming, guys. The Norwegians are coming.
We kind of spoke to this earlier, Jason, but I kind of want to reinforce this point, because you were talking about how it's cool and maybe even surprising that this movie is based on internet stuff and it's not too memey, and
Yeah.
it's like the good side of the internet, like the creative side. And it's also interesting that a lot of like short film YouTube channels don't take off. You know, like, we should be finding filmmakers through independent stuff being made online. And people put out really decent short films that get 53 views, like nobody ever sees them.
Yeah.
And isn't it interesting that not only did that take off well enough for A24 to find this guy, not only did he get to make his movie, but in a day and age where people are complaining constantly about AI slop and people are trying to cut corners and make whatever they can with as little resources as possible, cutting corners, don't care what it looks like, we've got a movie that is based on something that started on the internet that then goes all the way back and makes everything practically.
Yeah.
Like, that's really interesting. There's something ironic about that. That, like, we went to the internet and then we went all the way back to like classic physical like, nobody in this movie had to stand in front of a green screen. Like, they all, or at least if they did, not very much. Like, they actually saw what they were interacting with, which is not to be taken for granted in this day and age with a big effects movie like this. And I say big effects movie, like $10 million, but it feels like an effects movie.
Yeah.
Well, to what you were saying, I think the reason why it feels so impressive is kind of going back to what Jayson was saying. Like, it's a very well-directed movie. Like, I'm glad. So I think this movie has the best use of found footage, like kind of like first-person VHS camera that I've seen in forever. But I'm also glad that it's not a found footage movie.
Yeah,
I'm glad
we'll
that
talk
it's just
about
like a
that.
sequence. Because a lot of the way it's shot does have like kind of like a Kubrick influence, where it's a very controlled camera,
Yes.
just going through these spaces, and I think that does make it feel bigger, and it does feel cinematically credible. And like, if you're wanting to watch the movie version of the Backrooms, like, this does feel like you're getting that, as opposed to just like, I could have maybe how some people felt about the Mandalorian and Grogu. I could watch this at home.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and also, they've got a better chance at cheating, or you can't tell if they've cheated or not if they're shooting the whole thing on a handycam. Where I would have expected more of it to be effects built in a computer if they had done it that way, and would be very impressed if I found out they built all of this. But like the fact that they shot most of it like more of a straightforward traditional movie, Connor, they can't hide anything, or they can't hide as much, and so what they actually did is clearer and therefore more impressive. Like, I miss going to movies, and I'm not saying this never happens anymore, but it's rarer. Like, I miss going to movies and going, I can't tell how that was done, and like enjoying, like imagining what the process was making it. And when everything's just effect shots, it's just harder to appreciate that process. And like, if it looks great and that's the only way to do it, or that's the best way to do it, sure, fine, obviously. But like Braden in the comments says that's what analog horror is, and we've come full circle. But I still think it's cool that and ironic that we did it that way, that it's an internet thing that ends up being made totally physically. And I don't think you would have been able to tell that as well if the whole thing was shot like a found footage movie.
Well, and I obviously love found footage. It's one of my favorite things. Like Chronicle and stuff like that. But
Cloverfield.
I love Cloverfield.
And other found footage films that start with a
First
C.
Cloverfield movie's great.
Yeah.
But I am also glad that they didn't make the whole movie found footage. I'm also glad that we got some. I'm also glad.
Now, is that just because it speaks to the legacy of this, and
yes.
like you as sort of a fan of it, you wanted to feel some of that, or like what does it give it other than just fan service?
Well, fan service, and also the reason I love analog horror and found footage is because analog just brings this sort of it really just is. I love found footage.
But does it give it more of a real kind of quality?
It does, and it also, well,
because your generation, I said this to you earlier off camera.
Yeah.
In general, I don't mean to blanket statement stuff, but seems fascinated by analog because you weren't born in a world with it. Like, right. You've always just had digital, and so there's this world from before you were born that has never been new to you. You can go back and look at stuff. But you guys seem fascinated by that.
There's a creepiness quality to it, and it works really well in the horror genre. And I don't think I could sit through 2 hours of it with this movie.
Yeah.
But especially with how they did the found footage and how people move with the camera in this movie is very disorienting, and I don't think I could look at that for 2 hours. And
what they built is disorienting enough, so you don't need that on top of it the whole time.
I'm also glad that it's super cool to me that the opening scene is found footage. And I would have been fine with just that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it even needed the second found footage stuff. Once they, are trying to get the footage of it. But, it serves a plot for the story. But
well, they did a good job of contriving a reason for that camera to be there, because in 1990 camcorders are very expensive. Most people don't have them. You have to rent them. You got to remember that in 1990 people are just starting to get VHS players in their house, and your average tape is like $35-$40 still.
Yeah.
Maybe a little cheaper, but like this technology was very expensive, and I like that. My favorite bit of levity in it is just making fun of old like local commercials.
Yeah.
With the classic gimmick, the used car salesman sort of gimmick of like let's come up with some kind of stupid like thematic mascot, and then try to beg and plead people to come. Like, I've never seen a character seem that desperate to get people to come into his store because he's never sold a single piece of furniture. And I think the whole price of admission is worth it. And we can say spoilers now. If there's anything else we really want to full on spoil. For just to get to see Chiwetel Ejiofor wearing a pirate outfit and doing a pirate voice and being on a fake wooden leg, and all of that was wonderful, and it made me go, Ejiofor's got comedy chops.
Yeah.
That I've not gotten to see him use very much, but I want to see a whole movie where he's just doing crap like that, because it's really funny.
But also, the giant, like, 7-foot pirate Ejiofor was creepy as heck, and that was some of my favorite stuff in the movie.
I will say, before I forget, he calls his store the Ottoman Empire.
Yes.
I thought that was funny. Secondly...
That's a tick joke.
Yeah, no.
I'm not saying he knows that's a tick joke, but that's a tick joke. There's a villain in Animated Tick named the Ottoman who's got a furniture motif. She's after the world's most comfortable chair, and she's trying to bring back the Ottoman Empire.
Nice. I think going to what Jayson was saying about found footage is, I think, to me, what the appeal of like a good found footage movie is it does sort of retain the quality of like a campfire story. Like it does kind of have like this rootsy, like anyone can do this kind of thing. And I think like I think all of the Paranormal Activity sequels are like basically you don't need to watch those. But the first one's all right. You know, I think at its best it does have that things going bump in the night campfire story. And then like I think the original Blair Witch Project is great. But then yeah, like I really like Cloverfield, and I don't know about you, Kat, but Comical, that was where I first saw Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's great. I'm on this guy's team. And now he's an Oscar winner. Good for him. I'm so happy for it. Sorry, that's off topic.
No, you're good. I'm still a fan of that movie. I don't care what anybody says. It's great.
I like Chronicle. But as far as like big pirate Chiwetel Ejiofor, when he showed up, I was like, oh no, like this is what we were leading to? Like because you have that whole like kind of emotional climax. Where
I'm more with Connor on this point.
Where they're just expositing the themes of the movie, and I'm like, uh-oh, we're reincorporating the therapy scene.
Yep.
Uh-oh. And then, I gotta say, though, when big pirate Chiwetel Ejiofor was chasing her around, I was like, I'm kind of getting one over, though. This is pretty spooky. The part that got me, I gotta say,
cool.
was when I thought we were gonna do, like, I can't remember what comic or what movie it is, but there's, like, this thing where, like, this is a thing where we need this character to get from point A to point B. How do they get there? They'll pass out. And so Chiwetel like knocks her out, and then there's a point where she's like running around like the Backrooms Ottoman Empire, where it's just like the store but in the Backrooms. And then like all of this gas starts going off, and she's like crawling on the ground. I'm like, okay, now she's gonna pass out. But then she doesn't, and then she looks over and it's like about to eat her leg, and I actually jumped. That actually got me. So I don't know. In a horror movie, I'm like this. That actually got me. I went, ooh. So, hey, bravo.
So, okay, so let's talk about that scene. Because, I know that's kind of, like, the big third act scene, but, okay, so I like, and this is a thing that has been done before, obviously, but I like when you do a scene basically the exact same way again, but in a different place that makes it a completely different thing. Like, it's the exact same scene, but it's in the back rooms, so it's creepier. I think I liked that a lot. Also,
well, in this movie we've got like screwed up perversions of characters, so now we're doing it with like a sequence. Yeah,
and also when he starts like eating people, I was like, oh, this stuff's getting real. So
he wasn't scared. He was like practically cheering. He was like, "Yeah!"
It's like I was like, "Yes."
So I don't know what that says about Jayson, but he was getting very excited about violence.
Well, I was like, because it blindsided me because I wasn't expecting it to go that way at all. Especially when pirate Edgeitford eats real Edgeitford, I was like,
see,
okay.
I felt like we could have. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I felt like I could have been made to really appreciate the kind of passing the torch of protagonist that happens with this. But I agree with you that it's kind of jarring. Like it sort of happens too quick, and I was a little bit disappointed that that's all we ended up doing with Edgeitford's character, and that he kind of ends up just serving her story, and we didn't even really know it was supposed to be about her early on. Like I said, I just kept thinking of the cool, interesting things that we could do with him, and so, like, ultimately, the whole point is just he's a screw up, and he won't take accountability for his own actions. He blames everybody else for what he does to mess his own life up, and and then he chalks it all up ultimately to I'm just wired this way, and like I can't help but be like this. There's nothing I can do. And she's like, I can't help you because you won't help yourself. And she almost agrees with him. This idea that he's just like this, and this is just how it's gonna be. And I just couldn't decide what the movie was getting at with that whole thing, because it could read as deeply cynical, and maybe not in a bad way. I mean, maybe there's a real sad point to be made that like some people can't be helped or aren't going to help themselves. But like the idea seemed to be this guy never had a hope, never had a prayer. A movie like this, even a horror movie, would usually suggest that anyone that like everyone has a choice, and the tragedy is he just won't make the right choice. This movie seems to be saying this guy never had a choice. He's like naturally screwed up and sort of a perversion in the same way that the pirate version is like a perversion of himself.
Yeah.
Maybe. And then I'm like, if you take that to its full degree, like to the furthest degree, what this movie is saying is horrifying.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if that's what it's getting at or not, Connor.
Yeah, I see. That's the thing is like there is like, I don't know, like to project my own psychology into the Backrooms. I'm 30 now.
Yeah.
All right. I'm like the age you are. You were when we met.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and
No,
I'm now
wild.
watching movies that are made by people younger than me.
Yeah.
And you would think like when I say that, it sounds like I'm jealous, but I'm not. It's actually like weirdly liberating and enlightening, to be honest, because, you know, I think about it and I know for myself, I've watched so many movies, like, and I've done my research and I've done my homework, and I know what I don't know. And I know there's like a bajillion movies I've never seen, and I just need to get around to them. But then you have to think about it. And I'm watching this and I'm like, has Kane Parsons, has he even seen like West Side Story?
Sure.
Probably not. But like knowing how to watch a movie and knowing how to make a movie, they are different but related, but different skills.
Yeah.
And like it's one of those things where I'm like, I kind of feel like I've wasted a lot of my life. Like I need to watch movies if I want to make movies. I don't need to watch as many movies as I have made, as I have watched, you know? And so like there is like a thing where I do kind of have some, whether I like to admit it or not, I do kind of identify with the main guy a little bit. Now that being said, I'm not as old as he is, so there's still time for me. But that being said, like I do work with people who are like this. I do know people who are like this, where it is constant like excuses and like this and that and hand waving. And I gotta say, for the sake of a horror movie, I think there might be something to be said that the catharsis is this weird like anti-catharsis of like, no, maybe you are just doomed to always screw up. And like there's like this like weird like, oh, I guess so. And like you're seeing that kind of like nothingness and that abyss might motivate people to change. You know? So I think like as its own
It's like reverse
fable,
psychology.
yeah. So like I think that's kind of interesting.
I think
Yeah.
the only reason, or sorry, I think the only thing that going to like the setup for that scene to work, because it's like she goes into the back rooms and then he strangles her, right? And it's like, oh man, you're going crazy, but like I didn't even understand what was happening.
At first, I thought it was a different version of him.
Yeah, me too. Because
then it turned out it was actually him, and I was like, "Oh, we've skipped something." And I'm not even saying that's necessarily bad. Maybe it works better on a second viewing, but I was so blindsided by it, I couldn't decide what it was getting at. Like I said, I couldn't decide what the time differential was.
Yeah.
If the idea was he was in there longer than we thought he was, or if you don't have to be there long if you're somebody that's already that much of a I don't know, I would say loose cannon or just like mentally unstable. Mm-hmm. And they do a good job of making it clear that this guy is mentally unstable at the beginning. That maybe he doesn't have to be there long before he's out to lunch, and like maybe the idea is he's given up on life even a lot more than we realized he has, and he's just throwing his hands in the air and going, I'd rather go here. Like he is. And I'm gonna keep bringing this up because I think there's a lot of Matrix in this movie, and I think in some ways this movie is the Matrix. But he is the that what's his name? Sorry, it's not coming. It's Cypher. In the original Matrix, where he just wants to be naive and just live in the Matrix. Mm-hmm. Except this is way more disturbing because he's going to the part that doesn't look like the regular world that we live in. And he's like, well, I can just stay here and I don't have any responsibilities or consequences or anything.
But all you had to do to make that work, though, is in the found footage section, just make him, they're being chased by something, and make him abandon the other two. For his own, and then
you're right. The problem is they make us think he's dead,
and then have him in the background for the next 15, 20 minutes.
You almost need him out of the movie longer if that's going to work.
Yeah.
Where it's like half an hour later we finally get back to him, and he's still alive, and he lives here now. And you know what I would have done? I would have gone back to that scene, and I love the way this was framed. We laughed at it. We thought it was kind of intentionally funny. Where we reveal that he lives in his furniture store, and he's got his TV set up, and he's laying in one of the beds he's trying to sell that he'll never sell because he can't sell anything. And what maybe we should have done is when we finally cut back to him, we find out that he's living there. Mm-hmm. And you set it up like that, where he's got the bed and the TV and everything in the back rooms.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah. That reminds me, I have a funny dream about a furniture store. I'll tell you some other time, but
okay.
There's a funny dream I have about a furniture store.
I will say, I might not look at furniture stores the same way again. I think it did a good job of making that sufficiently creepy. Yeah. My grandfather had a furniture store. And I was real young when he had that, but I remember that. It was always just kind of like an odd, almost sterile sort of place. All the furniture's got plastic on it, and it always felt kind of weird.
Oh, also
where it's
there's a dissonance because it's a bed and furniture. It's supposed to be comforting, but it's,
you know what the problem is? And a lot of them even call themselves this. Never thought we'd talk about furniture stores for 20 minutes on a Geekvolution video, but furniture stores are very often referred to as warehouses, which is the antithesis of make yourself at home. So you go to this store to buy a thing that you want to feel very comfortable in, but the environment you're in is a warehouse. It's like an unfinished
At least
place.
It's still a house. I mean.
I will say,
I like the setting.
Oh, sorry,
a lot.
Jason's been trying.
Did you guys notice? Go ahead. So we were talking about how he should have tried to do stuff with his architecture or whatever.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice that every time they enter the back rooms, less and less furniture is in that tower because he keeps taking furniture and putting it in the basement because
I have not. No.
He wants to stock up more. but nobody's buying his stuff.
Connor, are you with me that the world he lives in is already like really exaggerated and heightened even before you get to the back rooms?
I wouldn't say so. I kind of took that more as just like a shorthand for like kind of lower budget, where it's like, hey, no one's at his furniture store. Well, a failing furniture store is a good place if you only have one location and three actors to get, you know.
Okay.
And there is like the bungalow that his two employees live in. Like there's like some kind of cool color stuff, and like I just felt more like production design to me than. But if there is kind of like a more eerie, heightened quality to the world itself, I would maybe need to notice it on
There
a rewatch.
I thought there was, but
Focus on the sky, cause
Okay.
it's freaking weird. Like it's weirdly like cartoonish.
yeah, I felt like it was going for an odd, more out there color palette. Again, like the Matrix does, but it doesn't give you that same sort of quality. Like it's not that pea green like I guess originally it was blue, but like this kind of again sort of sterile feel. But it does feel a little bit otherworldly to me, and my guess at what the Backrooms is that it's proof that the world is a simulation. Like I think the Backrooms is the like as an idea is the Matrix, except we can't find our way out to the real world. It's like you discover you're in the Matrix by finding the secret code behind it.
So I think Austin talked about this when you guys did your first like favorite movies, but so I don't think Kane Parsons is like I don't know what he's seen, what's influenced. Somebody attached to this has seen Barbarian, and I think no, I think Austin talked about that
Yeah, I've not
movie
seen that yet.
in one of his 10 favorites. Structurally, this is very similar. The monster is very similar. Like there's some Barbarian overlap. That's a pretty funny movie, pretty crazy, entertaining movie. Check that out if you can. It has Joe Chill from Batman Begins in it. He's got
Oh,
one of
crazy.
the best faith for ugly people you'll ever see. He's got a great character actor face. But I will say, you were talking about the time jump. That is something that I was also a little bothered by. I think a lot of the more conventional aspects really do chafe against the less conventional aspects. Particularly like that time jump is like you got to think about like what's happening. Like the last time we see Chiwetel Ejiofor, I guess like his employee is on the other side of like a one-way mirror or like some kind of like one-way glass where she's like, it's coming for you, and then like the camera rises up.
That was cool.
And then it was cool, and then it cuts, and then it's like I guess months later because Renata Reinsva gets a call from him. So I guess he just went crazy and was like, I gotta feed my therapist to the monster or something. I maybe he just needed to have another therapy session. I don't know. But he like gets out, sends her a cryptic call, goes back into the back rooms, and is just waiting for her to show up.
Then what happened
Like,
with the thing that took the camera? Like,
yeah, then it's like, then now it's like he knows how to live here, and it's like, I am now like I usually don't for this kind of movie don't need to know the whys and hows, but now that this kind of more conventional like like agenda of a character having to do this and then this and then this and then this, and now I'm like, so how did you learn how to live here? He seems to have developed some kind of kinship with his 7 foot tall pirate self.
Yeah.
And
not a very
then
good
that
one,
goes
apparently.
away. Yeah, it just goes away, and I'm like, I'm a little confused here, guys. How'd that happen? I am curious, Jason. Like, what kind of lore stuff in the Backrooms is in this movie? Is this movie trying to like separate itself and stand more on its own? Like, what's the deal?
So, from what I know, the big thing is that you can't go in and out of the back rooms in the original lore. That's the big thing. You go in and then you can't get out. Like you're stuck there. what they're doing story wise, I think I really like that. He can come out and be like, "Oh, I found a place," you know. Um,
Well, it feels more dark fairy tale that way.
Yeah.
Like it's real Alice in Wonderland. You can come in and out.
yeah. It's also originally it's supposed to be like there's like a 0.00000 goes on 1% chance that like atoms can like go through other atoms and like phase through, and then you can but then what would happen if that ever happened, right? Because it wouldn't, but what if it did? But with this it's just kind of like there's a wall and you can go through it,
Yeah. Braden says it's totally separate from the internet lore,
Yeah.
which is interesting because this guy is planning to keep making videos, and
Yeah.
I guess they'll be separate from this and not like in the same continuity or anything.
Yeah. And again, there's no squiggly monster, so
You're really upset about that.
no, it's a joke mostly, but I wanted to see it,
That's the one thing I knew is that like when A24 announced it, like I got the email because I have the A24. I bought stuff from their website, so they just send me stuff whenever they're announcing new things. And it said like Backrooms coming next summer or whatever, and it was like a little JPEG of like a yellow room in an office, and it's like behind a corner there's like a bunch of like a pipe spider. Looks like a spider
Yeah.
made out of like pipes. And I was like, well, what's that? I guess that's the Backrooms. And I'm like, ah, you know what? I will learn in a year. And now a year has come and passed, and I don't know. I don't know.
Is the squiggly monster like a real flat 2D kind of thing?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to
Maybe
see
maybe
it.
that's why they didn't do it.
No, but that's why I wanted to see it
Yeah.
on the big screen.
Well, the other thing about how they handled it in this, and tell me what you think about this, Jason, is it seems like this other dimension that you go into, again, like a perverse, bizarre, confused, like bad recreation of what the actual space is.
Yeah.
And it's described in the movie as like this comes up a couple times, that it's like if you describe what a dog is to somebody that's never seen a dog and they try to draw it, like it'll sort of look like a dog, but it's off and it's weird. But the sense I got was the further in you went, the less furniture store it would be. And that,
Yeah.
like, all of it would be connected. Like, maybe it is living in the same physical space to some degree. But, like, it can't entirely because it goes on for so long. It still looks like a furniture store.
Also-
But there are some different... the further in we go, there are some different places that don't look like they're based on the furniture store.
Yeah.
And then when she comes in, I guess she's able to imprint even... some of the locations from her past. Like, don't we go into a couple rooms that look like, am I remembering this right, that like look like places from her flashbacks?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's about proximity at all to the place you're at, or if it's all about what the characters imprint onto it.
So I have no clue, but
I think that idea, by the way, still works with my theory that it's all a digital, maybe not digital, but like a, computer world.
the original, or not the original, but Kane Parsons' original short film, doesn't do any, or doesn't stay in the Backrooms. Like, the Backrooms doesn't have only the like yellow, furniture store stuff. It's got other rooms.
Well, and this did too eventually.
Kind of, but like not in the same way.
You get to like the weird bathroom, and
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
that was one of my favorites. That looked really cool.
Yeah, and now it's not the Backrooms. It's
It's
the
the
bathroom.
bathrooms.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, I was gonna say your idea about what this world is would make this a great double feature with the 2019 hit Serenity.
Yeah, yes, it would. You and I need to finally do a commentary on that piece of crap.
No, I will say there was one point in the movie where I did go, "Whoa!" when I was looking at it. It's where it's in the VHS thing where like the guy with the camera, there's like lights going up the wall, and then he looks up and he realizes it's a hallway, and he like but it's upside down. So
Yeah.
then he goes like that, and I'm like, oh, that tripped me
And
out. That
that's
was cool.
in the original short film too. That kind of.
Oh,
thing.
is it?
Uh-huh.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, no, I was, yeah. So what you were just kind of talking about was kind of what I was like thinking about in terms of like it sort of like brings things from your psyche or like your memory into this and it, but in a sort of degraded way. I thought it was interesting when they kind of they mention it and then they reincorporate it about like the trying to draw dogs from memory or like from description. But then that's the way like the people in the back rooms look. It's like they have like
Yes.
weird proportions and like multiple eyes and stuff, and so I thought that was pretty
See, that's why
cool
I
design.
think that's why my theory is it's code copied wrong.
Oh yeah, okay, good call. Good
See,
call.
that's because the whole Backrooms idea speaks to like programming in video
Well,
games.
and it
And
also
doesn't it kind of
seems-
originate from that idea?
Yeah, it totally does.
Like
well,
like
no
the,
clipping,
the whole
yeah.
the whole idea is places in games that you can go to that you're not supposed to go to,
Yeah.
and then it's going to be all glitched out and messed up because you're not supposed to interact with that space. It's not built for the player, and so you can maybe go off into infinity, or there's going to be versions of enemies that just look really like wrong and screwed up. But then if I'm right, with this in this particular case, the idea is that human beings are part of that code, just like in something like the Matrix, and then they imprint their code, and then it's copied wrong for some reason that then goes into what would feel like to us another dimension, but is actually just another space in a program. Like again, you have in the Matrix where you have back doors that people open and go into different spaces, and then they can come back into the Matrix in other places.
Yeah,
So-
well, and at least with this movie, I
I don't know
think,
if that's what it is, or if that's what they're thinking, or if they even know what
No,
it is. But
But I think it's cool that you're able to articulate that because like I would have never been able to like associate this concept with that kind of way of like thinking about it. But it's cool and that seems very legitimate in terms of like an interpretation to me. Because for me, it is so dream and memory heavy, where like dreams and memories are very, very similar. And like for me emotionally, where I'm like connecting with this is like dreams I've had where it's like I am a child and I'm in this house that I never lived in, but when it's in me in my dream, this was my childhood home. It is
Yeah.
empty now, and I am here and I feel home and like I'm someplace that I've been long ago that I've forgotten about. And I'm like, that's what it feels like when I'm here. And so like to me, this is like a memory dimension, but you kind of thinking about it in terms of like a video game, like our world is like in a box, and then like you found your way out of the box into like this part of the world you can't interact with, and it's like our world but it's wrong. Like that is cool, but it's interesting that like we're coming at it from two different ways, but to me they're like equally
they both
legitimate.
and
I
they
think
also
that
both work together. There's no reason
Yeah,
that
but-
one has to overshadow the other. It could be the same thing.
Exactly. And so like, but I think that's maybe speaking to why the concept it connects with so many people. Between our two ways of looking at it, there's probably 3 or 4 or 5 other different people we could bring in that would bring their own kind of.
Because if
way
I
to
was
it.
right and you could prove it, it would prove, and I've got another element for the movie to back this up. It would prove that the world was not real and that it was a simulation.
Yeah.
And when you get to the end of the movie and you have Phil, remember Phil, who I was afraid
wanna
would
talk
be,
about Phil.
who I was afraid would be the architect from the Matrix Reloaded, where he would come in and just explain the whole thing, and I was excited when he comes in and he goes, I don't know what any of this is. And that made me very happy because I was strapping in for a 15-minute long speech with the word ergo 17 times. And he just goes, I don't know what it is either, but he says, we think it's the most important discovery in the history of the world. And it would be if it was like some alternate reality that somehow we can create with our memories. That's true, it would be. But it also would be if the discovery was reality is an illusion, and this proves that it's all coded.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. So Oh, sorry.
I
go ahead,
also
Jason.
think that, and we were talking about kind of commentary with this movie on mental health. I also think just with the Backrooms concept, at least with this movie, the way they're going about it, it's also talking about AI.
Braden just said that in the comments.
Yeah,
too.
we were talking about this even earlier.
Yeah.
Where you feed an AI an image and tell it to copy it, and it does it over and over again, and it gets weirder every time, and it gets worse.
And if you talk to an AI for too long, it will just stop making sense.
Yeah.
Much of the time.
If it's not a good AI. So, the Backrooms in this movie seems a lot like that too, where it's talking about they're talking about it's like remembering the world. It's trying to, but it doesn't quite get it.
Which suggests it's artificial.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, not to be that guy, but we all know the kinds of people that like to use AI as a crutch. They're not exactly great architects, are they?
Look at how cool is it that this movie built everything, and it's about AI.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying though is I know the kinds of people that love using AI, and they're all the people who would like to be. And then they go, but look, I did it in AI. And
yes.
You're like, yeah, but you didn't. You didn't.
I know.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't count as artistic expression.
And then this guy, this Chiwetel Ejiofor character, is that kind of guy. He's the kind of guy who would, yeah.
Now, to his credit, though, he must have some kind of architectural skills because he drew a pretty decent map.
He did.
He drew a good or a good blueprint of the place. It didn't even occur to me that probably speaks to his skills.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
and
people
all the
are
stuff on the whiteboard and
untalented.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but apart from that, I couldn't tell you if he actually knew anything about architecture.
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah.
When you
I did want to say though, what's
he
up,
got his
Jason?
way around the place pretty well too, but
He did. I do think though that the third I don't know, there's two things sort of back to back that I feel kind of best put my experience with this movie to get you could do it's two examples. The first is that extended scene in the Backrooms dining room where they are just kind of having another therapy session, and I'm sitting there going, you're losing me.
Yep.
And then immediately after, there's a real solid chase sequence that I was into, and I'm like, you got me. Okay, you got me. And then Phil shows up, and he's like, she's like, hey, can you tell me anything? And he's like, that's confidential. Then she goes, please? And he goes, oh, okay.
Okay.
What do you want to know? And then he starts talking, and I'm
Did
like...
you have what I did? Yeah, I was sitting there going, wait, you're telling her too much. There's no way you're authorized to do this.
At least the guy from Austin Powers, you have to ask him 3 times. This guy, you just had to ask him once or twice, And so, yeah, so he just starts talking, and I'm like, uh-oh, this is how we're ending it? And then, the movie almost, read my mind, and then it just went, shh, and then just, faded out, and then it just, cut to, those images of the parts of the world that these people had inhabited, and they're now, assimilated into this world, and I'm like,
So I
good.
wanted to know what
And
you
then it
guys thought of
ended,
the
and I'm like,
ending,
good.
because it's weird. I don't know.
I felt like I was missing something, and on a second viewing, I might appreciate that ending more, because I was not sitting around waiting to see the perverse duplicate of her, and then the big surprise ending is there's that, and I was like, I wasn't really looking for that, but I
see, and I was,
I
was
guess there's
when
now
that
a messed
show
up version of her, and it didn't even occur to me. Oh, I guess everybody has one if they go in the back rooms. So if I saw this again, I would probably understand why I was supposed to be waiting for that. But
all of those images are Backrooms versions of her memories.
Yeah.
And her childhood stuff that we saw earlier, which I still don't really know what the point of that was, but I don't know. And then we get her at the end, but it's like, okay, like I don't care enough about this character, even though she's the main character.
That's what was giving me whiplash.
Yeah. But
yeah, because it's like it does like a, you know, the protagonist change on you, and like they do give us like these flashbacks, but so much of the first half is devoted to like this guy, and then the second half is kind of more her just figuring out what this guy's been up to. Oh, he went crazy. Okay. It still feels centered around him, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
I wasn't paying enough attention to the background images with her because I thought she was a supporting character. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. And she does have that kind of withdrawn kind of coldness to where it does feel like a supporting performance. So like when it does feel like at the end, like it was about her the whole time, I go,
I didn't even like her at the beginning. Like, I thought that first scene with them was not great.
You mean the therapy scene that you were very excited to see duplicated in its entirety later?
No. I think in a second viewing I'd like it, but I was like, this is what... Because I don't like therapy scenes. But I think the reason...
Stay away from The Sopranos, buddy. There's a lot of them.
I was going to say, my first novel's about a therapist. There's a lot of therapy scenes.
True.
You might not want to read that.
I've read a lot of it, but... but I think what I did like about the...
and it's set in another dimension!
Going back to the therapy scene, the scene where he's evil now.
Where they remember the exact dialogue they did in that previous scene?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ejiofor plays a really good villain. Like...
And I should have expected him to turn bad in the movie. I didn't.
I don't know. Seeing him do that is just great. It's just a really good performance. I don't know if it fits that movie.
Go back to Serenity. You'll appreciate it more after this. Not the Serenity he mentioned, but the 05 Serenity that has Edged for him.
We should do a double feature with the two Serenities. That's
what we should do, Connor. We should double feature the Serenities.
Hey, look, one of them's got Matthew McConaughey, all right? I mean...
And one of them's good.
I'm sorry. One of these has 2 Oscar winners, Anne Hathaway and Matthew McConaughey. How many does this hack Joss Whedon get in his movie? I didn't think so. Yeah.
Look, I like it. I like it despite the fact that Joss Whedon is a hack. Okay.
No, I was joking. I have respect for Joss Whedon. Okay.
I'm also joking.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to get misinterpreted.
No, I think that's a really good script.
No, I've actually never seen Firefly or Serenity.
Oh, have you not?
No, like that's been one of those.
That movie's rushed because it's a season and a half of content truncated in a 2-hour movie, but.
No, that's like one of those shows that like people have been telling me to watch since I was in middle school, and I've always been like, yeah, I'll get to it. And now I'm 30, and I'm like, I never got to it. Like, I got to do something about that.
It's 25 years old, but it holds up. It's still very watchable.
I gotta rewatch it.
If it came out last Thursday, you wouldn't be shocked by what it looks like.
Okay.
In my opinion. What else do we need to talk about with this?
We hit a lot of it. Wait, I actually don't know. We talked about Phil.
We did.
When he goes, my name's Phil. Like, that was the funniest thing in the whole movie.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because that actor is Mark Duplass, and he and his brother are sort of these like last generations like independent cinema like trailblazers. Like they were sort of like the them and Joe Swanberg and Greta Gerwig and like all these, like they were like the mumblecore people from like the late 2000s, early 2010s.
Oh, okay.
I'd bet you that like this movie gets announced and then Mark Duplass is like, a 20-year-old is getting to I want to help him out. And they were like, sure, we got a role for you. You got to play Phil. And he's like, I'll do it. So he's been very active in like trying to get young up and coming filmmakers like a leg up. So
Look,
kind of
maybe
been
he
his
just really
thing.
likes creepypasta. Okay,
He could, because he's from Creep. That's right.
that's true.
He's the guy from Creep.
Forgot about that. I like that movie a lot.
I have not seen it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna be like, I think Cap's a lunatic and it's terrible. I and the
No,
sequel is
Rasco loves
okay.
that movie.
Say
Rasco
again?
loves that movie.
Oh,
Rasco loves
Rasco,
Creep.
yeah.
So, yeah, he really likes that movie.
It's got a sequel. I think they've kicked around a third one for like a million years.
There's a TV show, or like the Shutter show. It's on.
Is that what
There's
that
like
is?
two. Yeah, it's called like the Creep Tapes. I think there's
I
like two
didn't know-
seasons of it right now.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Crazy. I'll have to watch that. Yeah, that movie is messed up. It goes too over the top in the sequel, but it's still decent. Senior Sticks, $2 super chat from earlier. I didn't get to reading this. Thanks for watching live, by the way, everybody that's been here through the show. Is it Bed Bath and Beyond? Is this the Beyond? Well, it's the bathrooms.
It's so weird because like this is a movie where it's a concept that a lot of people are familiar with, but that you can kind of do anything with and nobody would really bat an eye at it because it's just kind of a myth that just the Backrooms exists and like nothing else about it really. And so like people have like everybody comes up with their own theories and stuff and like about, you know, and their own stories about it, you know, and people have come up with like, oh, like, well, oh, also another thing with the lore is that it's in levels like a video game, and that the movie doesn't do.
Okay.
But like people come up with stuff like, you know, level 1 million and level Burger King, but you know, you get to this movie and I don't think it's even that big of a deal that it doesn't do the stuff that everybody, because there were so many things you could do with it.
Well, and it felt consistent enough that I was able to come up with a possible theory as to how it works.
Yeah.
Somebody might later on in the comments poke holes in it and be like, here's why it can't be what you're saying, Cap. But like, I felt like I could at least guess at it, which was fun. Now I will say, and I'm so glad you said that because this is the thing I wanted to ask you guys about. This is the last thing I'll bring up, but I didn't understand the extra breakers in the breaker box.
What?
So there's two slanted breakers in the breaker box.
Oh yeah.
That I guess turn off the lights in the back
The back
rooms.
rooms?
So who put that there, and how's that connected? And
Yeah, there's no like it seems like like when because that's like a part
Phil.
of like the first act, like something's up.
but the government doesn't understand it, and so they're
Right.
they're not connecting. They couldn't understand it well enough to do that. I'm sorry, Connor.
I don't know, but it's just like a thing where it's like I was looking, I'm like, hey, I bought a ticket for this. I think the back rooms are like bleeding into the real world, and then that's all it really does. And then once you get into the back rooms, there's no breakers, and so it's like, yeah, where do those come from? That's a good
also-
question. I forgot about that.
Do we get AI? Yeah, I was hung up on that because there's a big close up on it. They make a big deal out of it, and then it never comes up again. And do we get any confirmation that when he turns those off, it does anything to the back rooms?
Well, and it's funny because there's a point where he turns it off and it actually turns off the lights in the room, and then he turns them on again and it doesn't do anything. So I don't.
Well, I don't think it's
understand.
those breakers. They're dealing with like the real breakers and then the slanted ones.
No, he did the slanted ones,
and they
all
turn off the lights
Yeah.
in that room. So I don't understand the
No
breaker
clue.
box. That's
Because it's like it's sometimes like because he says that like the lights are only ever going funky at night, and then during the day they're fine, and then like I didn't know if the breaker was like affecting the lights in his like the slanted breakers were affecting the lights in his store at night versus the day. Like I don't know if it's like it does feel like it's just there's like a conventional like things are going weird. What's going on? Like first act in a horror movie type thing, and then it does just sort of get abandoned. Like
Well,
it's
and I was also wondering if that doorway, uh, which somebody mentioned this earlier, and I had this thought too. It's very Mario 64.
Yep.
That like you go through a wall and then you're in this other world. Um, has it always been there, or like did it suddenly materialize recently and the breakers are new also? Because I wasn't sure how long he'd had the store. Maybe that's clear and I just need a second viewing. But like I was trying to figure out with, I don't mean to get too in the weeds with this, but he's complaining about how the electric bill is higher than it should be. And that's suggesting that he is paying for the lights in the back rooms. Is what I thought was the idea. And you get those slanted breakers, so it's like if he turned off the back rooms, first of all, you'd have no movie. Like I think he could just turn off the lights to the back rooms, and then, or at least to the area where he's around. And then secondly, if you turn that off, his electric bill would be a lot cheaper. And so I'm wondering, did his bill just go up? Or has it been like that since he got there? And he's like, how is it so high? But like, what's he comparing it to?
yeah.
Yeah,
See,
thanks,
that's the
the
thing is, I was wondering
It was the
if like the backrooms are they just sort of like ever expanding, and they're sort of like expanding into his realm, like like
And so
so the connection
they
is
just now
recent.
got there.
They're just getting to him, and like I was wondering like maybe they've always been here, but they sort of evolved, and so like it didn't always have wallpaper, but after the invention of wallpaper, maybe they were the cave rooms for a while, when we were cavemen.
Well, sure, because
I don't
that's all
know.
the people that would go in there would imprint on it.
Yeah.
So that would make sense.
Well, but yeah, it's the question of is it imprinting stuff from people that are in there?
Well, clearly, because like we said earlier, the woman at the end started going into rooms of places we recognize from her past.
Right. True. So you guys were talking about like the lights in the back rooms. This is really funny. There is an entire episode in the original Kane Parsons show about the lights in the back rooms.
Oh.
Just like about the making of the lights, and like it doesn't make any sense to me because but
You're not an electrician?
No.
Get a
but
job.
some of the like electrical components are like for the wrong thing, and like but they still work anyway, and it's like it's really interesting, but I have no clue what's going on.
Yeah, no, like that. Yeah, he probably like had a buddy or someone who knew an electrician, and they're like, "Let's thought experiment here. What would you do if you needed to have like all this wiring and then have these lights?"
Yeah, but
and
Kane Parsons seems like a super smart guy. I feel like
he's a really cool guy. Like I'm rooting for this guy. I hope there's a part of me that wants to see what he does next. Like, what else is he gonna make? But if he also just wants to make like 15 Backrooms movie and he just wants to be the Backrooms guy, I'm fine with that too. Like,
Yeah. I was going to say that earlier. I think that's a totally legitimate thing to do with your career. There's this world I want to build. Like you can be the Star Wars guy, you can be the Star Trek guy. Like you build your. And I mean, those two men are complicated. I get, but I'm just saying if you have like your big lore, your big, gigantic continuity that you want to just keep expanding and expanding.
ah yes, the Gene Roddenberry of Backrooms.
There's nothing wrong with that.
there was a lot of conflict on the set of Backrooms: The Next Generation. But
Backrooms, the next generation is crazy.
I gotta say, I think after season 3, it was actually better than the original series. But that's
original
just
Backrooms. Well, they're boldly going.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is something kind of like relative to like this to say like Minecraft, right? I mean, I don't know what Roblox. I mean, I've heard about Roblox. I don't really know what it is, but like the idea of Minecraft that so many people found appealing is that it's just a sandbox. Create and like something like this is also like it's a sandbox. You can do whatever you want with this concept. It's just empty space.
This needs like a good official released video game real bad because I know there's a lot of like independent stuff and things that are kind of based on this idea. But I was imagining, like, this is something I meant to say earlier, Connor. I got a quarter of the way into this movie and I was like, I need to be playing this. This wants to be a survival horror so bad. And there's been survival horror kind of like this, but I feel like the kind of game that this, and this is ironic because of the criticism it has of AI, but I think this movie wants a randomly generated video game on the level of a No Man's Sky, where like everybody that plays it walks into newly discovered rooms, and once you've that are randomly generated, and once you've discovered one, you can like put your stamp on it somehow, like mark your territory, and then if anybody else comes in and finds it, they know that you're the person that created it. And it would be cool if somehow you could like develop a character that, I just had this thought, that then imprinted on the Backrooms and made rooms somewhat based on your character.
You got an imagination for gaming, man. That sounds cool.
I don't know how you do it, but that would be super cool.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that, like, for me, like, I got done working a 12-hour shift at work before I went to go see this movie. And I just sat down and I'm like, I'll just sit here and absorb people walking around rooms for a few hours. I'm cool with just that. I just want to hear electrical hum.
Yes.
Footprints.
Look, the electrical hum is like the ship hum in Star Trek. Like it's always there.
Yeah. The Borg won't stay on floor 15. Yeah.
It's kind of like the electrical hum that permeates Eraserhead, but it didn't give you a headache, I don't think.
That's true. So. No, I got out of this one unscathed. If it was all found footage, I wouldn't have. I couldn't have gotten through 2 hours of that, I don't think.
Yeah, no, that's the thing where, like, you were talking about the VHS, I think, Jason, and I think you said I wouldn't want to watch a whole movie that looked like that. Like, it looked like, I don't know, like, the interlacing, it was like so period accurate. Like, they probably got like an actual VHS camcorder from that era, because like the ghosting and tracing and the interlacing, like you could see all of the limitations of that, and like seeing it in a theater, like with like, you know, the other part of the movie being shot digitally, I was like, I'm glad this sequence was shot and I love it, but I might have gotten sick if I'm starting to understand my mom getting sick watching Blair Witch in theaters.
That's why I can't watch Blair Witch. And like, I have a lot of respect for that movie, but I can't look at it.
I can watch it on a TV. I don't know about a theater. Like, that's kind of what I was realizing watching this movie.
See, I've only seen Blair Witch on a larger projector screen, and I couldn't deal with it. If it was smaller, but I had a friend that forced me to watch that, and he had a big projector screen, and I don't think I could do that.
And you were like,
Jayson, I still have a period camcorder from around this time that shoots like that. We should make something with it. Yeah, I don't know where it is right now.
I remember when I was like 11 or 12 and I discovered that my parents had a VHS camera. It blew my mind. I'm like, you can like film something and then put it in the VCR and like watch it like a movie. Like, how am I only just now finding this out? It blew my mind.
Yeah, well, and I was making movies in high school, and I took film classes in high school, but I also just like made my own like music videos and stuff, and we edited with 2 VCRs. You know, you just splice.
I've always heard people talk about doing that, and I've never done the VCR live editing thing.
It is.
I heard that some people have like a whole system of like 5 or something where they were just getting really elaborate with it.
It's painstaking, and if you mess up, you start all over, and yeah, it was rough. Like the timing, music videos were the worst because you've got to time it right, and you also lose some quality because, speaking of making copies of copies, because you get it all together, like all of your footage cut. and then you've got to record it again with the song over it.
Hmm.
This is the only way to do it.
Yeah, that's yeah, syncing that up would be you know what though? Like I went back and I found like old like high eight camcorder tapes and I was like watching them like when I was in college or something. I was like, wow, like when I was 10, 11 and I was like having to like time everything. I actually got the timing pretty good on a lot of it where you know you do it again and again and again and when it's summertime that's the only thing you have to do in the day like you will figure it out
Sure.
with enough time.
Yeah, when you get a passion for it, it doesn't feel as tedious because you're excited to be making something.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like I took a media class. I just remember this in like eighth or ninth grade. I think it was ninth grade, where they were still teaching everything analog, and that's where I first learned the multiple VCR method, and we were cutting that way, and they had the device, Connor, to put like analog titles on things, so you could do credits and stuff
Oh, cool.
on top of it. Yeah, it was really neat. And I think they went to digital and like feeding the tape like into the computer like the very next year or the year after. I was
Wow.
toward the very end of their teaching that way, and I'm really glad I got to experience that because I got the best of both worlds. I got to do that, and then when I went to high school and took a film class, they'd already switched to computer, and so
See,
I was doing like the earliest days of Premiere. I think it was Premiere. I think we had both. I think we were using Mac machines and Windows machines.
I did high school all wrong. I was like getting really into movies in my freshman year of high school. And then like I just never thought maybe there's an elective class here where I could learn some editing and like video and stuff. I just didn't
Yeah.
do that. I was like, I guess I'll do orchestra. No, I'm glad I did orchestra because it was fun, but I just was stupid and didn't think to even look at the elective booklet.
Do you know why I got into film in high school? Because I did plays and I wasn't very good and I couldn't get good parts. And I got tired of playing like the milkman with three lines, but still having to be at
Yeah.
all the rehearsals, you know. And so I, in my senior year, I guess starting junior year, I was directing black box plays, and then I was making movies. And senior year, it was nothing but movies. That's all I did.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I directed a couple of black box. I co-directed with my brother a couple of black box one acts. That was
Yeah,
really fun.
yeah, that's
I,
great.
I knew even then I'm like I am a terrible actor. I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
Like
I can't do it.
I can publicly speak really well, but like acting different it's a related but different skill, you know? Like it's I'm not acting.
Well, anyway, we're past 2 hours. We should probably get going.
Yeah.
Jason, anything else you got to say about this?
I think I'm actually liking this movie better talking about it.
I'm having that
So,
too.
Yeah.
Cool,
I
cool.
kind of want to watch it again. So I will at some point, but probably not in the theater because we have so many movies this month.
And
But
can we just say how impressive this is as a outing for a first-time director who's not even old enough to drink? I mean, seriously.
It's
oh yeah,
awesome.
and
No,
you said, and Connor, you thought like they came to him at 19. They came to him at 17.
oh really?
He was 17 when they
Wow.
started making this movie.
Yeah, because he's 20 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I thought I got the announcement like a year ago. Maybe it was longer, but like you're right. They probably approached him before they would have announced it. Yeah, no, you're right. Um, but no, the other thing, this is going to be A24's biggest movie. It's going to be their first movie that crosses 100 million domestically. Marty Supreme got really close, like at the end of last year and the beginning of this year. I was kind of pulling for it because that movie's great. But I'm really happy that they're getting bigger. And I think they, much like the Criterion Collection, have done a really good job in this era of like building a brand and like kind of creating a fan base and like an image. And I don't know, it's really cool. I think this is kind of like 25 years ago what like Fox Searchlight or Focus Features were like, in the aftermath of like Disney buying Miramax and the Weinsteins being the Weinsteins. Before they were known for being the Weinsteins, they were known for re-editing your movies and being horrible to them. But yeah. So it's really cool that like Neon and hey, Neon. Whoa. Hey, they did both of these. Go figure. Yeah, Neon and A24, they're doing it right. I'm really happy. I'm really happy that they're here and people
Yeah.
are noticing.
I just hope they start branching out into more genres.
They are. They do. The problem is they put out a ton of stuff that you don't know about.
Yeah.
Summer before last, they did a movie called Sing Sing. It was a great drama set in prison with like Coleman Domingo, and it was great. They have like comedies and musicals, and
wow.
the idea of like the A24 horror movie is like part of their brand. I think last year they put out like 12 or 13 movies, and like 2 of them were horror movies. Like they do a lot of stuff and they acquire a lot of stuff. Most of it is drama and dramatic, but a lot of the stuff that they do, like people don't, they maybe don't even get a wide release and people don't see them.
Well, I guess what I should have said is I hope they put out something in another genre that hits like this.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
But I didn't realize, to your point, I didn't realize they were making that much that wasn't horror. So that's really cool. Now Blumhouse is not doing that.
No, I don't know why. Like, did you know that Blumhouse? They are the ones that put out Whiplash. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Like,
so they can.
They can.
And like that's one of their like most well-known and like critically acclaimed films.
Man, now they're dragging. I think.
Yeah, it's like
Jayson.
But you know what though, Blumhouse
Blumhouse is not on my tempo.
Yeah, not quite.
Not quite my tempo. Yeah. I think Blumhouse is attached to Obsession. I think that's like. Last year, Blumhouse had a pretty rough year, but I think this year they have Obsession, and so that's But that's also tied with Focus.
Because wasn't last year Five Nights at Freddy's 2?
Yep.
Yeah.
And Megan 2.0, which was a big underperformer for them. So. Anyways,
Connor, thanks for coming on and talking to us about this, because we haven't reviewed anything together in a long time, and we found a lot of interesting things to discuss with this. This was a great conversation.
I agree. I was thinking about it earlier. I think the last time I was on the channel, like in a video or a live stream, was actually the Fantastic Four.
Wow, so it's been a full year almost.
Almost 11 months. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Well, in your defense, I haven't reviewed a lot of movies since then.
Well, in your defense, I've been really busy. So
no,
you've been asking me occasionally, like, hey, you want to do this? And I'm like, I can't.
That's true. So, I called you up when we did Michael and all of that.
Yeah.
What was that? Mortal Kombat. Oh, yes, Michael Kombat.
Yeah, Michael Kombat.
You did Michael Kombat too, yeah.
That was great. And I never thought I would see the day where I would flip green on a Mortal Kombat movie and red on a Michael Jackson biopic. But there we were. Man. No offense to anybody that liked that movie.
Mortal Kombat 2 is so good.
A Mortal Kombat movie was good enough to flip green.
I love that movie. That movie was really good.
It's fine. Yeah. I would go see Backrooms again.
But again, I also like that first movie, so
yeah, and I don't know what you're smoking with that. But
yeah. So
anyway, well, thanks for watching, everybody. We sure appreciate it, and we'll be back with lots more geek stuff here on the channel. Tomorrow night we'll have Comic Book Late Night Unlimited as always, and we're doing something on Rewind this week. I can't remember what, but it'll be a regular week this week. So pop in, hang out with us. And I can't for the life of me right now remember what it is we're doing on Friday. Thanks a lot for watching, folks. I was Captain Logan. This was Jayson.
That was me.
And Connor Nielsen.
Bye-bye.
Bye, folks.